Increasing demand for water, coupled with supply constraints like droughts, wildfires, and other climate impacts, have resulted in greater scarcity of California's water resources. Can you give us some context on the supply and demand factors impacting California water prices in recent years? And how is this year shaping up compared to those previous years?
There are a lot of factors that influence prices in California's water market. The most important one is hydrologic variability. In general, during wet years, water is abundant and prices are low. During drier years, water is less abundant, buyers are competing for water, and prices move higher. This year is a critically dry year in California. It's the second consecutive dry year in a row. And we're seeing really high prices and lots of buy-side competition. To illustrate that, the NASDAQ Velas California Water Index is at a historic high right now, right around $900 per acre foot. And the water futures that use that index as a benchmark similarly are trading around $900 per acre foot. It's dry right now in California and water prices are high.
Roland, how have California's agricultural producers typically dealt with the twin challenges of accessing scarce water supplies while facing volatile and unpredictable prices?
First and foremost is having good, reliable wells on farms to be able to access groundwater in years when surface water is not as abundant. Secondly, sometimes long-term contracting to buy water from places where there is an abundance. That's one method. Fallowing ground, and that happens in two ways. Either it's fallowing on a short-term decision-making basis on annual crops, or maybe it's having only a portion of your land planted to permanent crops so that you can have enough water access to actually take care of that crop. Lastly, then, is making shorter term decisions and having to buy additional surface water on the open market. And in the short run, that's where you can really see users have to deal with a lot of price variability.
Matt, we should add that this will not have any impact on the price of drinking water, which is determined by local municipalities. Can you talk about that and how these new futures fit into California's sustainable water policies?
You're right, Tim. The futures won't impact the price that you and I pay on our monthly water bills. The futures are intended to be a risk management tool. California water users have developed a suite of risk management tools to address that variability in year-to-year water supply. To date, most of those risk management tools have been structural and expensive, things like surface water storage, groundwater banking, new conveyance. The futures just add a non-structural financial tool to assist with that risk management. The futures aren't sort of the end-all be-all. They're not the single solution. They're just part of a portfolio of risk management tools that is now available to water users in the state. It's important to keep in mind that no physical water changes hands when two parties trade the futures contract. It's really just a financially settled risk management tool. So trading of the futures does not influence how water is delivered, where it's delivered to, how it's used, or who has access to it.
Roland, prior to the introduction of the index and the futures, the market for California water rights transactions amongst ag producers was fairly opaque. From an ag lender perspective, how might the index and the futures help reveal greater transparency into the water price expectations? And what are the implications of increased transparency for ag producers?
What having this index can offer is a check on some of the assumptions being made by the lender and by the producer around that individual operation. So it's a bit of a sanity check out there to see if the expectations that the lender and the producer are setting seem reasonable. You layer on top of the index the availability of futures contracts, which even have the potential to give you more longer term visibility as to what the price of water might do. So the short answer is it allows lenders and producers to make more informed decisions.
So there you have some insights into the factors that may influence the price of water in California and how the NASDAQ Velas California Water Index and the CME futures can help mitigate and manage those risks.